Okay. So did it say, so at the beginning we have to introduce ourselves at the beginning of each video or what?
Yeah,
Okay. So I'll go ahead and start. I'm Julia.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Grace.
Alright. Okay, so let's start then. Um, so in preparation for this, we read or listened to a talk by Elder Holland. Israel, Israel, God is Calling. And then we also watched the video. I don't know what it's called, but there was that little video. And
Oh,
that's all the preparation we had, right?
yeah. And the video
Okay.
was,
It was from
"What would you do?"
Yeah, what would you do? So,
Yeah.
so that was the preparation for the video, for the discussion. Um, so before we start, I guess, on the questions, does anyone have any, like, anything they'd like to share or anything specific that um, they'd like to share about what they read or viewed?
Now with the video that we saw with the TV show, "What would you do?"
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite. I think it's still on the air, I guess, but I haven't seen it for a while. But I had seen that episode before,
Mm-hmm.
which just kind of reminded me of one of my old assignments when I was at LDS Business College. One of my psychology classes, we had to do a "What would you do" type scenario. And,
Oh yeah.
but anyway, I think how they set that up was very good, and how those customers hearing the conversation between the dad and the son, how some of them wouldn't say anything, but the others would, and pretty
Mm-hmm.
much lashed out at the father, and how dare you? And then
Yeah.
and others would talk to the son and say, hey, I know what you're going through. With that one family, my brother, my son, I kind of like that. They learn to accept him and love him for who he is. And
Mm-hmm.
turned out to be one of their best relatives that they ever had. So anyway, that was my thought on it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Anyone else have anything to say?
I particularly liked the Israel God is Calling. Um, I think that I really like Elder Holland, like how he speaks. Um, he basically, I don't know, he really like, it's not like condemning or anything. It's just like you can tell he really, really believes in what he's speaking, and he knows that it's good for us. Um, so I really enjoyed his talk, specifically those three stories, especially since I think we all are marriage and family majors. Is anybody not?
Child development, but kind of
Oh, you
the
are?
same thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. That's really cool. I just thought because he mentioned like social working, and I was looking into something, looking into doing some of that, maybe social working or family life educating. But when you're in like child development or marriage and family, those majors, you are learning all about how to take care of kids, how kids should be taken care of. So it was really cool when he talked about that one family. It was just kind of like the one family who didn't care for their kids very well. They were just kind of self-absorbed. So I thought it was a very
Mm-hmm.
interesting scenario.
Yeah. For me, when I was reading the talk, um, I think, like, probably most people know this part, but like the part where he talks about checking your religion at the door, like really like struck me again this time. Like,
Mhm.
just thinking about like being an advocate like for the family and everything, how like we should always stand up for our religion and never check it at the door. Like we shouldn't be ashamed of what we believe in, and like or worry about what people would think if they knew what religion we were, what we believe, you know. Like we should be proud of what we believe and stand up for it no matter what. So that's what I really liked about his talk and everything. So yeah. All right.
Cool.
Emily, did you have anything to share before we move on to the questions, or?
No, not really. Just
Oh, I thought
I
that was
didn't finish watching all of it.
Okay. Okay, so I guess we'll just move on to these questions then, and discuss them. So the first question is, what threats to children and families did Elder Holland mention? How was how has Babylon influenced the development of the threat to children and families that you have chosen to address?
Could you repeat the first part of that first question again?
Yeah,
Sorry,
the
Jen.
first part says, what threats to children and families did Elder Holland mention?
Now, if I remember right, there was 3 of them that he talked about, wasn't there?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, but I can't remember at the top of my head when I'm reading it.
I remember
Um,
the stories.
yeah, I think the one he talked about was the college basketball teams in Utah.
Mhm.
Yeah, don't check your religion at the door. Is that
Right. Yeah. What you said. What? Yeah. Which was mentioned earlier. Yes.
Hmm.
And then just know that other story about the couple and how they were just into their own life. He was talking about was it the policeman who came to this family and the children were all in basically huddled in the corner and there was no food and no clothes.
Mhm.
What was the principle on that one? I know it's and then there was one with that one woman who appeared at um, that one, I guess, youth conference, and he said she had like tattoos and she had like wild hair.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that one I just kept thinking like all these like prejudgments and how he was saying that he would he's like the things that were going on through my mind is that she could be this, she could be this, she could be this, or she could be the Relief Society president.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite interesting because he did mention with that woman now she is a daughter of God, regardless what she looks like, and that's what people have to remember. And of course, they learn to quickly to judge, because you never know what's in the inside.
Yeah, like I read a quote once. I don't know who said it. Somebody said it was Mother Teresa. But and then somebody said it was somebody else. But the quote was, if oh, now I'm gonna butcher it. If you judge others, you have no time to love them. So like if you
Yeah.
spend all your time like just looking at their countenance and stuff, it's almost like we can make judgments for ourselves if if somebody's not safe for us, safe for our kids or whatnot, but to be like a child of God, to be like a son or daughter of God who needs the gospel, we I don't know, I just don't think we have that place to judge on who needs it and who doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in his talk, he says that only God makes the final judgments because he knows all the facts, and
True.
that there are to be righteous judgments, not self-righteous judgments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
I was just kind of. Oh, sorry. Did you have?
No, go ahead, Julia. I was just
Oh,
interested.
okay. I was just kind of skimming over the talk, and I found this. And I think this is one of the really big, like, threats to the family and to children these days. I'll just read a quote from it. It says, "My young friends, there is a wide variety of beliefs in this world, and there is moral agency for all, but no one is entitled to act as if God is mute on these subjects, or as if commandments only matter if there is public agreement over them." So I think, like, I mean, it's a popular belief these days that the commandments are just, like, there if you want them. You know, if you want to follow, it's fine, but if not, nobody cares. You know, or, like, you know, we're in charge of what's right and what's wrong, you know. Like, but I like how he says we can't act as if God is mute, you know. And then he says, after that, in the 21st century, we cannot flee any longer. So I think that's the big threat to the family these days, is just that everyone in this world is just, you know, believes that they can just be free and do whatever they want. And yeah, we just need to be an advocate for the
Feel
commandments.
bad. Gotta feel good.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's just been this overabundance of sugarcoating that it's become like the norm. I guess I got so careful to use that word in this class. The norm.
The new normal.
Yeah, that show is just interesting.
That's one way of putting it.
Like, yeah, and I have to admit, I did watch a couple other episodes because I was, like, curious from that trailer. But, yeah, I blame the teacher that I got interested in hearing about it. But it only made, like, they made, like, 22 episodes, that's it. And then, they stopped it. Like, it's like, he had the kid and everything. But, I mean, it was just interesting to see how the world perceived, other people. Like she had this, like, die-hard Republican mom, and they made her out to be just, like, this terrible, terrible, bigoted person. And it was like, there's so much, like, hate towards, like, each and every one. I think it was a little more political than it was about like the love and the family or whatever. But it was it was a sitcom. But at the same time, I was blown away about what the world thinks about Mormons, because it was during the election with Romney and Obama. And they were, like, saying, "Oh, you're going to vote for Obama, right?" They're making Romney sound like this terrible guy because he doesn't like gay men or something like that. So it's just interesting to watch what the world thinks of people who have different beliefs and people who have it was just weird. I wouldn't recommend watching it. It was just it was like making it sound like everything's okay, like you're okay and you're right, and it's not. There's right is right and wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
So I think that's what everybody is trying to convey now, is that everything is okay. Like,
Yeah.
I think that if you don't mind me saying, I think to go along with what you were saying, Grace and Julia, is that that's what society is today, and everybody thinks, well, if society does it, why can't I do it? So they follow into that same trap, and they get themselves into trouble. For example,
By calling it normal.
yeah, exactly. It's like my first wife. She, uh, which I'm not married to her anymore, obviously, but anyway, she decided to, everyone else is getting divorced. Why shall we? Why can't we? I was kind of puzzled at her. Why?
Yeah.
And that's the direction she wanted. And of course, I didn't like it, but I went along with it. But it was probably the best thing that ever happened to us because I'm married to my current wife for 17 years now and 5 kids later. So, but her point was, society's doing it. Why can't we? And that was the
Yeah.
direction that she went. That was my point. So,
So should um. So the next question is, how does Elder Holland's description of Babylon and Israel coincide with defending the doctrine of the family in these latter days?
well, stand up what you believe in. And don't let your guard down.
Yeah,
And I think that's one way to defend it.
and like they said earlier, to just stop running. Like how Elder Holland said to just stop running. He said something like, we've been kicked out of the fire into the frying pan.
And then when we were reading in Alma
46.
46, how we were talking about the Bill of Liberty, and I mean, like a good example as well, being able to stand for what's right, stand for our beliefs, and I mean, it's easier said than done because in our day and age, we can stand up for our beliefs by just doing little things, very little things, like mentioning God in a conversation, being able to, share your testimony, and those little things are, big things in this day and age, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Very good point. Uh-oh.
Oh no!
I think we lost our leader.
Did I say
Well,
something? No, I'm just kidding.
no, I think she probably lost connection. I'm sure she'll be back. Well, I'll continue until she gets back. Maybe we'll just go on to the next question.
Okay.
What characteristics and attributes did Elder Holland expound on that will make us or you individually more effective family advocates?
I think the whole thing with starting with ourselves, when he was talking about that one girl who walked into the church function, how she had tattoos and stuff, and anybody can, avoid somebody like that, but, take somebody's guts or somebody with a kind heart to reach out to somebody who, or, might be new. Not that I would say that you're judging them by saying, so you look new. That's kind of obvious.
Right.
So yeah, I just think taking that first step, we can be an advocate for righteousness by, showing that those are the kind of people we are, people that reach out and want to help.
Yeah, like living by example.
Yeah, I kind of like what you said there because it kind of remind me with that lady with the tattoos. It kind of reminded me of my mission with we were teaching this lady. She was very poor. I served in California, and we were in a town called Lakeport, which is in the northern part of the.
Oh my gosh, I'm Northern California.
What's that?
I was just saying I'm from like Northern California, like Santa Rosa area, like
Really, Santa
Lakeport.
Rosa was my mission.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So where did you live?
Well, I ended up like after high school living in the Santa Rosa area, going to the SRJC. But I was just thinking about Lakeport because Lakeport's been on fire. So
Oh, cool.
they've had fires like crazy in Lakeport. They've had to evacuate a lot of people. So
Oh man, I
that
didn't
just
know
reminded
that.
me of it. Sorry to miss up your train of thought.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I didn't lose it. That was kind of cool that you lived up in that area. So I served in Ukiah, then I went to Lakeport right after I served in Ukiah. But anyway, when I was in Lakeport, we were teaching this lady, and she was very poor, and a lot of people were judging her because she didn't have a skirt or a dress to wear, and they were mocking her and laughing at her and told her that she couldn't come back until she gets a dress or something like that. And we were like, you can't do that to her. You know, slacks is all she has, and that's all she has. You know, she's a daughter of God. You know, and they would not respect that, and she ran away from it, and we weren't able to teach her again. But it kind of reminded me of that story with this lady that Elder Holland was talking about with the tattoos. But we shouldn't just quickly to judge like that. And I agree with what you said. We have to start with ourselves. So, any other thoughts on that one?
Well, I have a little thought, and it's just a little one.
That's right. Go for it.
For not judging kind of thing, like when we are teaching in church, I noticed I was reading or listening to a John By the Way talk, and he was talking about how this kid came into his class like total punk-looking kid, and the first thought that crossed his mind was that, well, you know, with the whole like outfit, like, well, he's not wearing church appropriate attire. He's not, you know, obviously it looks like he's, and then he took a step back and he's like, what's the first thing I should be doing right now with this kid? Like, how do I help this kid? And he just thought, like, the first thing that came to his mind was, well, you need to teach him, and then, you know, the lesson that was for that day. So that's all he needed to do for him, kind of thing. And so he didn't need to go up to him and tell him, oh, you know, you're looking kind of this way, you're looking, you know, shabby, or you're looking, you know, he just needed to go on with the lesson that he was supposed to do for his class. So sometimes we get so focused on the outward of what we think should happen, when we should really just kind of think about what God wants us to do, and not what we think we should do.
Thank you. Appreciated that. Okay, next question. According to what you have learned from Elder Holland's talk, what obligation, if any, do you have in a scenario like the one in the video below? The video of what would you do?
So I have to admit, I didn't see one. I don't think I scrolled all the way down, or it didn't appear on my tablet when I was looking at it. Had the talk on it.
Yeah, it's all right. It's about a minute long. about a minute and a half, I think. It's not very long at all. This, basically, what the video is about between a dad and the son comes out and says that he's gay. And the father goes ballistic. He says, "How dare you do that to me? You're disgusting. What? How can you shouldn't treat our family like that?" And people were just like, "Oh my goodness." Some would speak up, some of them would not, and that's what the video was about. And they would come in and say, "You were part of this show. These were actors. Not really, didn't really happen." But so that's what that question is about. Comparing to the talk of Elder Holland, what would you do in those scenarios that he talked about?
Right.
If you were there, would you do nothing? Would you speak up? Would you do anything?
Some of those scenarios, like, were really heavy.
Yeah. It's kind of hard.
Yeah. I think you're the officer that stumbled into that situation with the family. Like, my heart would go out to those children first.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Emily.
Oh, I was just going to say, in a lot of those situations, I think, like, everyone wants to do something, but you don't know, like, is it really your place? Like, are the parents going to freak out at me for interfering in their parenting? Like, it's just kind of like this battle of I should do it, but, like, what are the consequences, kind of?
Yeah, I think those are good things when it goes through our mind, not our first impressions that we should go for. But then again, like, some people have really good first impressions. Like, some people would think like, oh, I need to hug that person, and some people think like, oh, I need to get out of here. Yeah, that would be hard.
It would be. Okay, our last question of the night goes along with this video down below. If you were a customer at this restaurant and observed this father-son exchange, what principles or attributes did Elder Holland teach that should guide your response?
Well, he said to love people for who they are. And so I would want to approach the kid and tell them, like, everything's going to be okay, and that, like, I don't know, I think the parents would need time to process this new information, and then hopefully things would calm down and just not forget that they're still important and they're still a child of God.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth. I agree. I would try to teach the dad a little bit, try to calm him down.
Yeah, hopefully the dad would see that you're being the bigger person in that situation and learn from your response, kind of.
Yes, I agree.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Cute. Any thoughts, Grace?
Like, I guess it's really important. It's interesting because it's like you've never been, or maybe some of you have been put into those situations. But I don't know. This would be just so hard, and I gotta think about things as my kids get older. Okay. You know, like if they came up to me with like, oh, hey mom, I do drugs, or you know, mom, like I did the, you know, like I'm gay or something like that. I think I would just need to, like what you said with how the father needs to probably needs to step back from the situation. As a parent, you know, you got so many expectations for your children, and for so many years you're teaching them what to do, and then when they go on their own way, like, I mean, I don't have that experience yet because they're so young, but I think I would have a hard time with it. I think I, feel bad for the father because, he's trying to make these good decisions for his son, and like all of a sudden his son is not, in the most ideal situation.
Right. I mean, the one thing I would give to the father, because he did mention to this family he was talking to, he said that he was hurt. And I can understand that. If my son would have came to me and said, yeah, I would be hurt too, but I wouldn't lash out at him and say that he's disgusting. And
Yeah, because
that's
your
yeah,
hurt would be hurting your child even worse.
yeah, exactly. All you can do is love him or her, whoever it might be.
Yeah, I think like the first thing that should come out of his mouth is, and then like, even if he doesn't say anything for like an hour, I think that's the first thing that should come out of his mouth.
Yeah. I would have said, okay.
That is the most important thing.
I would probably say, okay, let's talk about this. And calmly, rationally, instead of being all upset.
My computer is about to die, so I'm just going to grab my charger and plug it in really quick.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, that video is from Provo, Utah. It was based out of Utah.
Oh, really? Was it a
Yeah.
commercial?
What's that?
Was it a commercial?
No, it's an actual TV show called What Would You Do?
Oh.
Yeah, take a look at it. I mean, there's cameras and
Yeah, I'll
they
go
would.
on my regular computer. I think it was because I was on my phone. But I probably should go and feed this little one in just a minute. Is there another question?
No, that's it. All we have to do is just summarize it, and then we're done. So that's where we're at. That's it.
Okay.
If you need to go ahead. I understand.
So do you want me to summarize really quick?
Yeah. If you need to go, Grace, go ahead, and Emily we'll take it from here.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you guys. I'll see you next week.
We'll see you next Thursday.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye. Okay,
so
Emily, you're up.
I just took little notes on each question. So we all discussed that how selfishness and being self-absorbed can lead to neglecting your children and things that are most important. And changing popular beliefs doesn't mean the commandments have changed too. We have to be careful not to fall into the trap that it's normal, everyone else is doing it, why can't we? And to judge righteous judgments, as Elder Holland said, God makes the final judgment because he knows all the facts, and that everyone is a child of God regardless of how they look or what our first impression might be. And the church will never flee. We shouldn't check our religion at the door and stand for our beliefs. And there are little things we can do that are big impressions to other people, like mentioning God or faith in conversation. And then some characteristics that Elder Holland talked about were starting with yourself and working on yourself as an individual and leading by righteous example, by not judging others, and don't make people feel that they aren't welcome at church because they aren't perfect. Like you said, that example, that lady not having a skirt. And don't focus on the outward, focus on what God would want us to do. And then most of us said that we would want to help the kids in these situations and help the parents, whether it's by example or just giving them some guidance, and make sure that the kids know that they're loved and that they're important.
Perfect. I agree.
Then
Well,
do
I think we had
post a summary also?
Oh, did you?
Or am I
Oh, no,
supposed to
no.
post it?
No.
Okay.
No, because you've already mentioned it right here on this video. I'll post a video, and she'll see it, and then she'll comment it like she did last week.
Okay.
Well, cool.
All
Well,
right.
our group was an incredible shrinking group. We had 4, now the 2.
Yeah, whoever it was who got disconnected, I saw a message just pop up a few minutes ago saying that the computer, they're having problems joining back on,
Oh.
but she tried to get her computer fixed before next week.
Oh, I see. Is that Julia?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
She did mention she was having problems with the computer. She was on her phone,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
so maybe it died on her or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Sister Mika will understand that. So.
Yeah, I had technical issues like every other week for my other class. So.
I know the feeling. All right. Well, thanks, Emily.
Yeah, thank you. See you next week.
Sounds good. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.